Sun, wind, rain, snow. We're surrounded by the ceaseless energy of nature. These natural energy sources are called renewable because, unlike fossil fuels, they cannot be used up. They are renewed every minute of every day by nature without help from man. In this century, man's energy needs have increased to the point we have threatened to exhaust such stored fuels as oil and coal. The result has been a spiraling inflation in the cost of energy. In the past 30 years, many efforts have been made to harness the renewable energy sources: solar power, heat pumps, wind and tide generators. Until recently, these efforts have only been partly successful. Solar power only works when the sun is shining. Wind power only works when the wind is blowing. All these single energy sources are limited to particularly favorable climates. In addition, the new technologies have been experimental, not always reliable, and worst of all, too expensive for the ordinary home. But what if we could draw energy from all these natural power sources at once? And what if we could turn this energy into heat, using a dependable technology that is available anywhere in the country? And best of all, what if we could make this revolutionary device available to the customer without costing him one additional cent out of pocket? Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Well, prepare to be surprised, because this tape will show you exactly how we can make it happen. We call it the alternative. We all know the refrigerator is the most dependable appliance in your home. It runs for years without attention. The alternative is a kind of refrigerator in reverse. If you'll put your hand near the coils of your refrigerator, you'll find a large amount of heat being given off. This is the kind of heat the alternative uses. Here's how it works. Because of its low boiling point, 20 below zero, the liquid freon in the collector has been turned to freon steam. There's a simple physical principle that gas under pressure becomes very hot, so our next step is to pressurize the freon in a gas pump. The pressurized gas comes out of the pump at 180 degrees, much hotter than you could stand to touch. The hot gas is passed to a heat exchanger, and the heat is transferred to water. The water comes out of the heat exchanger at 138 degrees, still hotter than the water in a normal hot water heater. Let's look at the system in detail. The technology is simple and dependable. The completed unit requires very little space and can be installed in your home in a few days without major alterations or inconvenience. The electrical components of the system are contained in one small tray. Here the elements are assembled and wired. The piping and conduits for both liquid and gas are constructed with the long-proven techniques of refrigeration installation. The entire system is put under high pressure and tested for leaks. For absolute security, the system is tested both during assembly and when the unit is completely mounted in its case. The alternative is finished and ready to be delivered for installation.
These panels, believe it or not, can take heat out of sun, wind, rain, snow, sleet, and hail 24 hours a day or night. They also can provide 100% of the heat for your house, all your domestic hot water, at a tremendous amount of savings. You know, as incredible as it sounds, these panels really will even work at sub-zero temperatures. I'd like to show you a little demonstration of that. As you can tell, it's cold in this refrigerator. Right inside here, we got our evaporator collector sitting here in a little array. We got them all equally spaced. And if you notice, it's 10 degrees below zero inside here. This over here is the processor. This is the business end of the proposition. What we're doing here is we're taking the freon, running it into the freezer, pulling the heat back out of the freezer, running it in here, and making hot water. We're delivering the hot water over here to a little crock pot. All the hot water in this crock pot is actually being made hot by all the heat we're pulling out of that freezer in dead airspace. You'll notice we got some awful hot water. It's 130 degrees. That's hot. No, a lot of people think that the alternative is a regular heat pump or another version of a heat pump. I've even heard it referred to as a super heat pump. Well, it isn't. As a matter of fact, the major difference between the heat pump and the alternative, our technology, is this collector area right here, our evaporator. You'll notice it's very thin, but we're taking Freon and circulating it through this evaporator, and the surface of this evaporator has a direct effect on the Freon inside. And I'll show you why I say that in a second. Number one, in a heat pump, the ambient temperature, surrounding air temperature, is all important. Whatever the air temperature is, that's going to determine what it does. In this case, what happens to this panel, this collector, is what's going to determine what happens to the Freon inside. Give you a point in fact. If I had snow packed on top of this panel a foot, foot and a half deep, the temperature of snow is around 30 degrees, above zero. The Freon that we put in will take heat out of anything warmer than 20 degrees below zero, 50 degrees of heat exchange. So if the outside temperature was 0 degrees, that wouldn't have much effect on something that has 50-degree effect on the Freon at that point in time. Another point would be if I had the sun shining directly on this panel, the panel can get as hot as 105 degrees. It's solid aluminum and a direct line with the sun. Now let's say it was a winter day and it's 50 degrees outside. What difference would that make if the sun was shining directly on the panel and I had something 105 that I was sending Freon through? As the wind, we'll take that force of nature as well, whips across the top of this massive surface area, 8 by 3, top and bottom, 10 different panels, you can see that the friction of the wind will not only heat up the surface area and affect the Freon gas going inside, but also the wind will cause a heat exchange to happen more rapidly.
The alternative works automatically, producing heat on demand and shutting off when none is needed. It isn't even necessary to remove your present heating system. In fact, it's to your advantage to leave it exactly as it is. The alternative is designed to work with your present system. It will heat your house as well as providing hot water. And every minute the alternative operates, you're saving expensive fossil fuels like oil and gas. In addition, we interface the alternative with your system in such a way that the alternative operates only when it can save you money. And if it isn't saving you money, you're paying nothing.
Last year we installed a remarkable heating device on hundreds of homes. This year we intend to install thousands more. The interesting and unique thing about the process was that our system was going on the homes of the average American, middle-income America, possibly families just like your very own. The way we made that happen was through our own finance company called Conserve Financial Services. At Conserve Financial Services, we operate considerably different than any other finance company because what we've done through a very unique proposal is we have made it possible for you to have a piece of equipment installed on your home that will save you a lot of money, and all you'll be required to do is give us the money that the system actually saves until it's paid for. The offer is risk-free. Now, I didn't say free, I said risk-free, and there's a difference between those two concepts. In our offer, what we will do is we will provide the equipment to your home at no charge or cost to you whatsoever. You don't give us 1 cent of your money. We will fully install the equipment and have it up and operational, and even at that point in time, you will not have given us 1 cent of your own money. After it is running, we will then require that you will give us, Conserve Financial Services, all the money that the system actually is proven to save you until such time as it has paid for itself. That usually requires about 7 to 8 years. Now, the interesting thing about that is the system is designed to last for 20 or 30 years, so once it's completely paid for, you get to keep all of the savings, send your children through 4 years of college education or whatever you want to with the money. I'm sure you can find a better place for your family to put the money than where it's been going so far. You might say your energy supplier is buying you this energy conservation.
Well, one of the things I do recall is before we had the system, we would have people over, and I wasn't going to turn the heat on above 62 because we couldn't pay the bill. And so one of the things that I remember saying to the man when he came out and talked to us about the system, I said, "Can I have my heat on at 70 all the time?" And he said, "Oh, yes." And I don't hesitate to turn my system up to 68 or 70, and I don't care if the system's running for how long, I'm going to be warm. And it does work, and the bill is lower.
That our existing heating system was costing so much and continuing to go in a certain way, and that was up, going higher and higher all the time. So we knew something had to be done. And so looking at this, of course, attracted my attention as a way to save some money. Our neighbor's solar system uses the sun entirely or exclusively, where one of the advantages of this system seemed to be that we could use just the ambient temperature of the air. And in this area seemed to be very practical for us. As you can look outside right now, with the rain coming down, our neighbor's system isn't really working too well. Where ours, here in this great Pacific Northwest, is just working just fine.
So I realize customer rates is going to go up. And that's one thing, I can't afford to pay a lot of money for my heating bills because I have other financial responsibilities. So when I first heard about this, and there's no money coming out of my pocket to buy the system, I decided, well, this is the way to go to save on my heating bill.
As we've just seen, there are two revolutionary ideas involved in the alternative. The first is technological. Because of the low boiling point of the Freon gas, we can use all the natural conditions of nature to produce heat energy. And we can do so with a proven technology that has been perfected over many decades. The second idea is financial. You pay for the alternative only with the money you save on energy bills. Nothing extra comes out of your own pocket. How can we offer such a unique program? Because we know our system will save you money. The energy savings are so great that the alternative will usually pay for itself in 7 or 8 years. After that time, all the money you save goes directly into your own pocket. In addition, the alternative will add substantially to the resale value of your home, but will add nothing to your property taxes. You can save money, guard against future energy shortages, and increase the value of your home, all with just one decision that will cost you nothing out of pocket. You don't pay unless you save money, and then you pay only the money you've saved. In days like these, can you afford not to investigate this opportunity?
It's a little jerry-rigged now because it is not exactly what you have on your home. That's electricity, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's probably enough. That's probably enough, yeah. We've got to keep moving in order to get everybody out on time. Okay, that's electricity. It's being turned by Freon. Okay, now, one last thing that we said we would demonstrate for you, but we haven't demonstrated yet. Do we have that hot box? We're going to demonstrate the hot box? Where's the hot box? We didn't bring the hot box? It's in the trailer. What's it doing in the trailer? I got to show these guys I can hold a lot of heat in a small space that doesn't get hot. Where's the trailer? I tell you what. Why don't we use your bun warmer? Why don't you get up? What you got there, guy? You been sitting on that thing all night long? What the heck is inside of there? Oh, let's see there. That looks kind of peculiar. Is that hot? Now, we did not run it up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, but if you notice, he just made some steam by just pouring a few drops of water on that thing. We don't want to take a chance on burning down a historic building, so we're not going to run that up to 2,000 degrees, because if anybody tipped it over, it'd fall right through the floor. But that's pretty hot. Feel the outside temperature of what Wade has been sitting on all night long. Be happy to just have you grab that. Go ahead and touch it. Anybody want to just touch it? Go ahead, stand up for And we're just lighting a light bulb. We got leaks like crazy. Whoa, my goodness. Okay. All right, so the pump isn't sticking. Okay, electricity. There we go, electricity. You can read by it. You can power your house. All you have to have is one of these. Move the couch out of the living room, put one of these here, set your easy chair up next to it, and read. Today. This unit right here would sit there and produce 5 kilowatts of electricity. It would run for an entire hour. It would run all day. It would run all night. It would run all year. It would run all decade. It would run and run and run and run and produce electricity as long as we had heat on the bottom in a boiler that was 200 to 250 degrees, which this can do easy. And then on the top side, we had to have a lake. So we had to have a lake on the top so that we could cool that back down. Remember, the electric company has to have a condenser. We had to have a condenser as well. So as long as we had lake water running on the top cylinder on that, so up here, the top cylinder, if we had lake water running in that, it would then trickle back down as a liquid. And then if we had heat from the air at 200 degrees going into the bottom of it, it would get the gas excited, and as the gas turned past a turbine, it caused it to turn, and then that shaft was connected to the shaft of a generator. It would sit there and produce electricity. It would run all day and all night. So as long as you had the heat on the bottom and the cold water from the lake on the top, it would just sit there and run and run and run and run and run and produce electricity. Now, if we could do that, and we could take energy out of the air, and we could cool it down with a lake, that was wonderful, but I had a problem, ladies and gentlemen. My problem was I had pledged to set the Americans free from the grid system in the electric utilities company. And by the way, it would run if you had a lake and you had a lot of water, but how many people here have a lake on their property? Not too many people have a lake on their property here. So therefore, only the people here who have a lake are the only ones that I could set free of the grid system with that technology. We had a problem, ladies and gentlemen. However, I could make electricity or mechanical energy for farmers because all farmers have a lake. Anytime you get ready. Okay, 30 light bulbs. We're just expanding it through. You see the torque here? And we've still got enough power to keep them glowing. We don't do this one here because that's the one we did when we first started. That was our demonstration when we first started, that one light bulb. We had a little Rockwell motor inside here that was leaking like a sieve, and Freon was going and that one lit. Pardon? Oh, that was the pump that circulates the water through here. I'll show you that. That's good. Okay.
This unit right here would sit there and produce 5 kilowatts of electricity. It would run for an entire hour. It would run all day. It would run all night. It would run all year. It would run all decade. It would run and run and run and run and produce electricity as long as we had heat on the bottom in a boiler that was 200 to 250 degrees, which this can do easy. As we take the pressure off of this, take the brake off, we're going to take off now with a unit that's operating in a closed loop with no condenser, and when we took the brake off of this unit, it really took off. The key to this whole process is trial and error balancing, balanced together with educated guesses. But this right now that you see running is a very high torque, low RPM engine in action. They said it couldn't be done, but that engine is running with absolutely no condenser whatsoever in the process. And it runs in a closed loop, so it will make absolutely no noise whatsoever as it runs. There it is. You see it with your own eyes.
I made the mistake of thinking I just had to build a working model and demonstrate it, and the world would come rushing in to congratulate me. The world did indeed come crashing in, rather than rushing, around me instead. The sheriff of Ventura County, California, with plenty of help, confiscated my technology before it could even be demonstrated, and as a result, I was not able to show it to the public beyond the half-dozen or so workers that we had in the research facility who had witnessed it prior. We did, after an expert testified in open court that it did not work at my preliminary hearing, we were able to prove that it did work to the judge in that case. Charges were brought against me for fraud, and I was supposed to still be in prison at this day that I'm cutting this because I was amassing something like a 40-year prison term. The charges, all the criminal charges, were dismissed by the judge that we proved in a court of law that the technology did work, and all the criminal charges were dismissed before having any kind of a trial. A private citizen videotaped the raid and refused to stop filming when the sheriff deputies threatened him, as shown on the video. And then they had their own cameraman come in and take his picture. They tried to intimidate him out of videotaping, but he said he was making a documentary, and he's a private citizen, and he didn't work for me. And so they had no choice but to let him continue to film this. And so the video that you're watching was, we have a citizen to thank for that. Then they got their cameraman to come over and take his picture so that they could know who this citizen was.
You get trained. So like my father-in-law is a retired chief on the sheriff's department down south. That mentality, you get trained, if there's a shadow of anything, you walk away from it.
Yeah.
This forced me into a decision today. I had to walk up to the news lady, give my name and my address, and make a very positive statement to this company, which was against the grain of everything I've been brought up on. Not in the fact that I don't believe it, but just in the fact that you don't get involved in controversial things, just play it safe.
Just keep your head low and then go through life.
So I did this, and I suddenly realized that today, for the first time in my life, I stood up for something I believed in. So
it's a great day.
And that won't take in for a while. You just kind of float along, but it's a unique experience. Most people don't experience that. Most people just go day by day, and they'll sit by their TVs and go, "Yeah, I believe in that."
Yeah, but when it comes down to being there and having to make the quality decision to go for it, And what we offer to America is that. I mean, people can make the quality decision to get behind this thing.
And
this is unstoppable.
Right,
It really is.
What's unfortunate people don't understand is what makes you alive.
Yeah. Oh, to believe in something, man.
Yeah.
To believe in something has been. I've been drugged behind the bottom of a car for the last couple of years, man. But it's something I really care about.
Yeah.
Believe in, and you just won't stop. You just keep going. You'll find out what you're made out of too. But it's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier if you really believe in something. I mean, how do people that don't believe in what they're doing or know they're slitting somebody's throat, how do they sleep at night?
They sleep the way they're trained to sleep.
Oh, I understand.
It's not until you reach something or get something that you finally understand and can believe in that you realize what you've been doing all that time up until then. There's no way to realize it.
Yeah.
Because you aren't there. You haven't experienced it. You're ignorant of it. Then when you become exposed to it, there's a whole educational process that goes on and the realization. You go, God.
Yeah.
Then you got to go from this day onward and say, okay, now I know, and now I'm going for it.
Cab, could you give us a little background on your previous employment before you came here to Conserve Financial Services?
Yeah, I was a deputy sheriff for LA County for 4 years, a criminal investigator for the public defender's office in LA County for 2 years, harbor patrolman down in Marina Del Rey for 4 years, and just recently I was the harbor captain of Channel Islands Harbor for 3 years before I took on this company. So it's not like I don't know what law enforcement is all about. It's just that I've never really been on this end to feel what people feel when this type of action takes place, regardless of what the outcome is. It still will get your attention.
And the nucleus of this company has never been willing to give up the battle and get the technology out to the people who need it. And anyway, it's just another skirmish in a long battle. And, this is a battle against ignorance and greed. That's where it is in the long run. Anyway, as you know, and as everybody else should know, that 2 days ago we told the world we actually did have the technology in hand that could produce electricity at no operating cost, with no environmental impact. Just a little cool spot in your yard, and all the heat taken out of there will be made into electricity. And at no operating cost, so we're talking about the elimination of fossil fuels, nuclear reactors, hydroelectric projects, and the like. Coal-fired power plants, acid rain, air pollution. It's all something for the history books. That's what we're trying to do. And anybody tries to do anything great or really change something has to go through this anyway. The guys who are currently sitting on top of that market aren't going to give it up very easily. We'd like them to. We'd like them to join our market, but
Yes, they were on all the big...
maybe they don't want to see it that way.
Even those digital pagers.
On we go.
On we go.
Who works with the Conserve Financial Services. He works very closely with many inventors from around the nation on very, very incredible machinery. And as you know, the things that have happened today, Mr. Fraser has some comments for what's going on. Mr. Fraser, please tell us what you're thinking.
Well, in my position in research and development, I see highly proprietary things, many of which have been entrusted to us by inventors who have been virtually raped by the system again and again. And they won't even patent stuff because it just gets ripped off by the big boys who just, there's no protection in a patent, really, unless you're big enough to be able to prevail in court. So they've all found that out, as most of us have. So they've entrusted us with these things on our honor because we were going to proceed to develop and are proceeding to develop some to put into the marketplace. With the simple stroke of a judge's pen, whoever our persecutors are right now have access to information that in toto, with everything we're doing, could affect the worldwide market to the tune of trillions of dollars. And they've gotten it for free. Some of the best minds in this country have worked on some of this stuff. And they get pictures or drawings. They're in there taking pictures of proprietary material. They have no right to it all. Has nothing to do with them. Much has nothing to do with energy companies. Has nothing to do with anything that we promote directly. It has to do with other things that we were going to develop to put through our network. And many, many people, innocent people, are going to suffer a lot. And you're not talking about a few dollars. You're talking about so much money it boggles your mind.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
my
Frazier.
comment. That really, really upsets me that in the United States of America that you can have a fascist operation like this, because that's just what you're talking about. You can just go in and expropriate people's stuff, or whatever the legal word is. That probably some attorney's going to laugh at that choice of words, but whatever the word is, they can come in and virtually just steal your stuff. Steal stuff that's extremely valuable.
We have something to issue here.
Yeah, you know, can you imagine someone going in and being able to steal the formula, force Coca-Cola to give them their formula? Why haven't they done that? And everybody can have it. They just steal proprietary rights. I mean, how is this done in this country? Is this the United States? If it is, I'm really dismayed. I served in Korea in the Marine Corps to protect this country. And I wonder now what any of us are doing, standing up and trying to be heard and to make this a better world, and that's all that we're here for. We're really trying to do something to change this world we live in. And these guys are so selfish and greedy, all they care about is their profit margin, the bottom line. They don't care what we're doing. Let the lakes in the Northeast, some thousands of them are totally dead from acid rain. The black forest in Europe dying from acid rain. The pollution in our oceans. We're trying to stop that. They're not. What they're trying to do is maximize their bottom line. We wanted these people to work with us. We weren't out to do them in. We've invited them. Every pitch Dennis has made has been to invite them to work with us. So we really don't know how underhanded our fellow Americans can be to try to stop something which is not just for the betterment of Americans, this is for the betterment of everyone in this world. And that was our plan. It is our plan.
I think the plan's going to continue on. In spite of this harassment that's occurred, they've got a lot of information. What you say is really disturbing. I hope that we can continue on in spite of it. It won't be easy, I'm sure.
No, it makes our job pretty tough.